Hello everyone, Donutland back with another video. Before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and if you like this type of content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So let's get into it. Today I will be talking about The Walking Dead. It released on October 31st, 2010 on the AMC network. This action-packed and suspenseful show also has horrifying zombies that would rip you apart in the most gruesome way possible. That is why I love this series so much. Well, majority of it. Just like any show, it has its crooks and crannies. I'm here to talk about the ones that irked me the most. Here is why I don't like The Walking Dead. First off, let's get into Sophia. Oh my gosh. In season 2, the gang gets stopped by a zombie herd and decide to hide under the cars. First off, we shouldn't have any children in zombie apocalypses. Now, I understand if you already have kids or if like you are taking care of a kid that is just lost on the street. However, I feel like kids in zombie apocalypse is so dangerous because kids don't really understand everything, and then they usually try to do what they want, or like if they get scared they may panic and get themselves killed, and it's just like they're just a hassle. Now I'm not saying if I had kids I would just throw them to the wolves or whatever. I'm not saying that, but I don't know. I just feel like kids in a zombie apocalypse, it just doesn't mix. I don't know. Now, I can understand that Sophia was scared. However, instead of running off the road, why not just run to a part of the road with no walkers, or maybe jumping on top of a car? And it's just like Rick heard her scream and then went from under the car, and like there was like basically no zombies around. I feel like this scene, they tried to make it seem like there was still a herd of zombies, but there was only 2 zombies after her, and all she had to do was run to a part of the road with no zombies, and Rick would have saved her. But then again, I do understand she's a kid and she was scared, so I do get that. I don't know. I feel as though Sophia would have survived if she would have thought rationally, but she is a kid, so I shouldn't expect much from that. But also, this only further proves my point of kids are just not okay, not a good fit in a zombie apocalypse. I can understand if you already have kids, because Carl was a kid and he grew up to be a zombie killer, even though they killed him in such a terrible way. I'll get into that in another video. That's not one of my segments today. But anyway, back to Sophia. Unless they know how to stay calm under pressure, kids shouldn't be in a zombie apocalypse. And then when Rick found her, Rick told her to stay where she was. Like, he hid her and told her he was going to draw the zombies away and kill them. She didn't wait, not even 10 seconds, literally, before she started disobeying orders. And yes, I do understand she's a kid. Again, I'm gonna say it again. I understand that she's a kid. However, there are flesh-eating zombies trying to get you, and you're disobeying orders by trying to run. And it's like she didn't even hear any zombies. Like, Rick left and she didn't even wait 10 seconds. Like, she stood there for like 3 seconds. She didn't hear no zombies or anything, and she decided to just walk out. Like, girl, sit down, sit down. Like, I feel like she's the reason she died. It's her own fault that she died. I don't know. And third, with Sophia, why would Herschel not check the barn for Sophia? Sure, you can say that he wasn't the one that brought her in the barn. It was Otis. However, if a group of people were saying they lost a little girl, why wouldn't any of them think, hey, I think I snagged a little girl zombie a few days ago, or maybe I should check the barn of zombies just in case she's in there. But in Otis's defense, he probably was scared of what the group would do if they found out that he put Sophia in the barn, because the group is a little bit unstable. I mean, they're stable, but like sometimes they be, a little crazy. That brings me to my next point. Point number 2. Rick and the gang always find themselves in challenging situations. They always find themselves running from place to place. Did it ever occur to anybody that maybe the gang are the problem. Like, because it's just like majority of the places that they called their home, they basically forced themselves into. First, let's go back to the barn in season 2. The only reason they knew about the barn was because Otis shot Carl. He was trying to shoot a deer, but the bullet went through the deer and like went through Carl as well. After Herschel agrees to help them, because he's a doctor as well, and he was working on Carl to like, so he doesn't die. He tells them that after Carl is all fully healed, he tells them to leave. He wants them to leave because their land has been untouched this whole time. I mean, it's only season 2, but still, their land has been untouched. And then while Rick begs for them to stay, he just keeps begging them, like, please let us stay, please let us stay. And then it's just like, after a little back and forth, Herschel just decides to let them stay. And you want to know what happens next? After he lets them stay. You want to know what happens next? LOL. The place was set ablaze, bro. They set his barn on fire. The house got overrun by zombies. The farmland got overrun by zombies. And the show tried to make it seem like it was inevitable, like that herd of zombies was already on their way there. No, they weren't. They were about to walk past the barn until stupid Shane and stupid Rick like wanted to have that little tussle of dominance, and Carl shot Shane and brought the herd. It's just like everywhere they go, they just destroy. Like, how you gonna basically force yourself into this man's land? He asked you to leave after he healed your son, and you begged him to stay. He lets you stay, and you burn his place down to the ground. That is so funny. That is hilarious to me. But luckily, Herschel's family isn't the type of family that holds grudges, because I don't know. I would not. I would not want to be with a group of people who destroyed my home. Like, I mean, I understand it probably would have been overrun or they would have ran out of supplies eventually. But like, no, Rick and the gang they cut that time short. Next, I want to talk about Terminus. I'm going to keep this short because I hate this group of people, and I think they deserved the group destroying their community. But that just proves my point of wherever the group goes, they tear it down. They weren't even there a whole 2 days before it was over. Again, I do think the Cannibals of Terminus deserved it, but still, they got there and Carol blew the place up, and that's crazy. And actually, they kicked Carol out too. They kicked Carol out, and then she saved their lives. That's another video, because Carol is always saving their lives, even though she is annoying. I'm gonna make a video about her. Then there was Alexandra. Now, they had a good thing here. The community invited them in. They were a little reluctant at first, like, obviously, because these are newcomers. They were out on the street. They were bloody. They were dirty, So, like, they were a little standoffish, or, like, the leader was a little, like, and she takes videos of people and everything, and she interviews people, but they invited them in. They were friendly, and it seems like the group is finally able to settle down. However, just like everywhere they go, chaos ensues. How you gonna go to someone else's community and take over? Like, how you gonna say, how you think you're gonna take this away from Glenn, from them, from me? Like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Like, it's not your community to take. And then guess what happens next? Guess what? The place is overrun by zombies. Again, now the gang is off to take something else over. It's like after the place is overrun by zombies, they just leave. They take a few people with them, and then they're just off to go, let's find somebody else's place to take over. Not even that, even before that, even before they went to Alexandra, they found Gabriel's church, and then they just took over his church. And then they had the nerve to try to question Gabriel of why people hate him and stuff. And like, what did you do? What did you do? This is not your place. How is a group of people going to take over somebody's place? Like, that's crazy. That is crazy to me. They always taking over somebody's stuff. And then they destroyed the church. They bloodied up the inside of the church. Then they destroyed the church, burnt the wood of the church, and then they just left because it got overrun by zombies or something. I can't with the group. Next point. My third point is, wait for it, justice for Glenn. I'm not the only one who decided to stop watching the series after this atrocity. I remember the first time I watched Glenn's death, I couldn't even finish, and I for sure didn't want to watch season 7 when it first aired. This moment was the downfall for The Walking Dead, like I swear. Especially because they always teased us with Glenn's death. He was always getting beat up. We always thought like, oh my gosh, is Glenn gonna die? Is Glenn gonna be the one to die? Da da da. And he never dies. And then they even teased us a few episodes before his actual death in season 6. They teased us when the guy shot himself in the head and fell on top of Glenn. Like we thought Glenn was gonna die. Which I don't know how he didn't die in that situation, but he didn't die, and then just for them to kill him at the end of the season is crazy work. That was crazy work. I don't think I would ever forgive The Walking Dead for this. Now, it was good. It was a good scene to pull on the heartstrings. However, to tease his death episodes before then to just kill him off is, it was diabolical. That was diabolical. And we just found out Maggie was pregnant too. Side note, this is not another segment, but it's just a note I want to point out about Maggie and Glenn. I feel like, why was their relationship so forced on us? I remember talking to my sister about this. Shout out to her, by the way. Maggie and Glenn got a little naughty, then suddenly they were in love. Me personally, I would have wanted to see a bigger relationship build up between the two of them. However, I feel as though that would have made Glenn's death that much harder. I personally feel like we didn't really see any build up for real. They just did what they did in that shop, and then Glenn started being a simp. But moving on, back to the point. Maggie didn't even kill Negan in the later seasons. She wanted to go on this revenge story arc, and she wants to kill Negan, but she didn't even kill him when she had the chance. And that made me mad too, because that was just like kind of her whole storyline, and they should have killed Negan. Negan should have died. I'm tired of him. I was tired of him. I never liked him. Now, he was a good villain, but he wasn't even a villain the rest of the series. They should have just killed him off. And I wasn't even the biggest Glenn fan, but I still like some of his characteristics. Plus, he was an OG. Rest in peace, Glenn. That's it for episode 2. I have more to say about this show. Stay tuned for more episodes. Let me know if you agree with any of my points. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. See you at the next one. Thank you. Donutland out.